Hello, welcome to Home Sweet Home. Thank you for being here today. I just want to point out that this has been a really wild time leading up to this, and I'm so happy, I'm so grateful that we will actually have an in-person experience here at MICA. We have been working really hard at MICA to prepare for this, and although we think we've thought of everything and we planned for every scenario, I'm sure there are going to be things that we just haven't thought of. And I'm hoping that you can help us bridge those gaps and identify those weaknesses so we can strengthen our policies. So at the end of this process, today in this presentation, you're gonna have a chance to ask questions. And I hope that you ask any question that you may have, and if we can answer it right here, we will. If not, I'll certainly update our website once we have the answer. And I have some colleagues here who are with me today, and they're also gonna be here to answer some of those questions. So the things we're going to cover in this session are mostly the residential experience. We're going to be discussing the move-in, quarantine, housing policies, and what your day-to-day experience is going to be. I just want you to know that by attending MICA, you are responsible for making sure you have read and understand the college's policies, and your happy experience and the experience of other community members depends on you understanding and following all of our safety guidelines and all of our policies. Thank you for that commitment. So I want to introduce a few people in the room today, Mike Patterson and Carol Martinez-Doan. Why don't we start with you, Mike Patterson?
Hey everybody, I'm Mike Patterson. I'm the Vice President of Student Affairs. I use he, him, his pronouns. You may be hearing my dog whine off the side of my screen. It's good to see you all, and I'm glad to have you start coming back to campus next week.
So Mike is one of my co-hosts and co-moderators today. He's going to be chiming in from time to time to help us talk through some of our policies. And Carol Martinez-Doan.
Hi everyone, my name is Carol Martinez-Doan. I use they, them, theirs pronoun. I'm the director for the Center for Student Engagement, and we oversee the orientation program. I also will be here helping Scott with the session. One of my key responsibilities today will be managing the questions. So if you have a question at any point, feel free to direct message me via the chat. So again, my name is Carol with a K. Just send me your question, and then I will be compiling all of the questions, and we'll go through those at the end, as many as we could with time allotted.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Mike. I have also a few other staff members who are here today. Rufus Dawson, Rudy, can you say hello?
Hello, everyone, and welcome again. My name is Rudy Dawson. I go by he and him pronouns. I am the Associate Director of Campus Safety and Campus Safety Police Major.
Thank you, Rudy. And Dr. Judy Kenny.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Judy Kenny, and I am the Associate Vice President for Student Health and Wellness, and I oversee the Health Center and the Counseling Center and the Fitness Center, and I'm excited to see everyone here. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Kenny. Okay, I'm going to share my screen, and when I do this, I'm going to turn off my video. That way, my computer functions and doesn't crash. So let me turn off my video. Okay, welcome community members. Like I said, this is our Home Sweet Home presentation. Our first section is about move-in. So what I'd like to do is show you a little bit about how to find our move-in information. Let's see. So I'm going to show you something really straightforward. All of our information that we're going to be sharing today, most of it is available on our website. So if I go to mica.edu and I search over here in the bottom left, and I search for move-in guide, this is where you're going to find this information. So we have a spring 2021 move-in guide, and what we've done is essentially made it into a step-by-step process. All of you should have already registered for your move-in and made a reservation through our housing portal process. And by doing so, you have reserved your time to show up. Your move-in time slot is for 1 hour, and you're allowed to bring a maximum of 2 people with you. Those 2 people must abide by all of our safety protocols. They must wear a mask and they must keep socially distant. When you arrive at your move-in time slot at the addresses listed below, there are 2 different directions to get into our college. So if you live in the Gateway, you're reporting to 1601 West Mount Royal Avenue. And I'll show you a map in a moment of where that is. And if you live in Leake Hall, you're headed to Founders Green, which is 120 McMecken Street. And you're going to access the parking lot gate and drive directly back to Leake Hall. If you're walking through Leake Hall, you're going to enter through Latrobe main entrance and make your way back to Lake Hall. Please bring your MICA ID with you if you already have it. If you mailed in your MICA ID photo, we've already had it printed and put into your room key packet. If you arrive without your MICA ID, you'll need to get one from Campus Safety, and I'll show you where that is located on a map. When you arrive and go into our buildings, you will find Campus Safety and our facilities crew there helping you to park and get you in the right direction. It will look different in each community, but for the most part, when you arrive at your front desk, you will be getting your room key, your welcome folder in your packet, your MICA ID, if you haven't gotten already. And then you'll start moving all of your belongings. There are carts available at each front desk, and you can use that cart to quickly unload your vehicle and then take your cart to your room and then unload the cart and return the cart right away. We'll have RAs available to help you. They'll be there to assist you virtually. We also will have myself and some of my other staff members there to also answer questions and help you out with anything you might run into. If you run into something more serious, Campus Safety is available at the front desk. They also are available via phone, so you can call from your apartment and we can send someone over to help you if you need it. The next step is very important. Once you have unloaded, not unpacked, but just gotten the things out of the cart and into your room, you must report to the testing center. Our testing will begin as soon as you arrive on campus. Now, the testing space is in a different building, and I'll show you where that is in a moment. I just want to make sure that your testing process happens, and then you quickly return to your apartment and you start the quarantine process. For students who arrive later in the day, please head to the testing center first before you unpack your belongings and unload your belongings. Head immediately to the testing center, get tested, and then you can arrive to back to your building to unload and unpack. So after your testing is complete, you're going to go to your apartment and you're going to wait for your result. The result could take anywhere from 2 to 3 days. So you're going to be in your apartment waiting for those test results. Students are in quarantine until both apartment mates have received a negative test result. So if you move in on a Monday and your apartment mate doesn't show up on a Wednesday, even if you get your test results before your apartment mate, you still are in quarantine until your apartment mate has received their negative test result. So for one moment, let's look at the testing information. So testing will take place in the B box in Gateway. There will be directional arrows pointing you in the right direction when you arrive to get your test. All of our testing process and procedures has been approved with our epidemiologist and the health department of Baltimore City. Your testing is required for anyone who's living on campus. You will be tested weekly, and every faculty and staff member that's also here on a regular basis will also be tested. Testing is a self-administered process. It is a nasal swab where you will swab your nasal passages and under the supervision of a healthcare professional, and they will collect your sample. When you arrive, your temperature will be taken. You'll be asked a few questions about your symptoms and any possible exposures. We just need you to be as clear and as honest as you possibly can. Our community safety is dependent upon it. Once you're there, you'll be given more instructions. And once again, the testing turnaround is about 48 hours. Once we get up and running, there will be a virtual tool that you can use called the Secure Patient Health Portal, but that won't be available when you first arrive to campus. Before I go to my next section, I want to ask Dr. Kinney if there are any things about testing that I may have forgotten.
No, nothing you forgot. I just want to let everyone, like you said, Scott, we really are excited about everyone coming back, and we do well as a community when each person does well individually. So we can't say enough about taking responsibility for everyone's health, and that please, we want to be sure that we can get everyone here safely, that we get everyone tested. So please, just honest and upfront, and hold yourself accountable for your behaviors while you're on campus. Thank you all. Yeah.
Scott, can I jump in real quick, please?
Yes, please.
So the one thing I'll add is if in between now and when you're supposed to come to MICA, if you start to feel ill, if you get a positive test at home, if you have need to take a test and are waiting on results, please don't come, not right away. We want you here, but if you have reason to believe that you are sick, you need to stay home, see that process through. We will work with you to then reschedule and make sure you get here and can get up and running. But do everything you can, and again, as Scott and Judy said, to be honest with yourself. And if there's reason to believe you might be bringing the virus with you to campus, please stay home, work with your local doctors, get cleared, and then come.
Thank you for mentioning that, Michael. Okay, back to our move-in information. So let's see. All right, one thing just to mention is that our move-in time frame is explicitly connected to our testing time frame. So you must arrive between Tuesday, January 19th and Thursday, January 21st, because that's when our testing site is open. And these are the hours for our testing site. So if, like I said, if you're running late to your move-in time slot, the first thing you should be doing is getting tested so that you don't miss your opportunity. If you show up outside of our testing time frame, you will not be admitted into the residence halls. You have to wait until the very next testing day. Now, for move-in purposes, testing ends on Thursday. So if you show up on a Friday, you're gonna have to wait till the following Monday to move in. You have to make alternative arrangements. If you're unable to make it in this window, then you should be contacting the Residence Life office in advance so we can make an appointment for you at a different time when the testing center is open. Okay. The next part to review is our quarantine housing information page. There's a lot of material to review, so I'm going to try to go through it briefly, but please revisit this site and read it in great detail, take notes, and pack accordingly. Quarantine is really important for the first couple of days when you arrive on campus. We are waiting to make sure that our campus is safe, and we expect that there may be a spike when students first arrive to campus as our testing ramps up. So it's imperative that you are taking necessary precautions to stay in your apartment while you wait for those negative test results. Our goals of quarantine isolation are to reduce the risk of transmission. When you leave your apartment, you put others at risk. You should be preparing for multiple days in quarantine when you arrive to campus. And I'll go through what that means in a few moments here. The most important thing to remember is that your results will be given to you via the phone. So you must make sure that you have a phone number where someone can reach you and that you are answering that phone. If you're like me, I get phone calls from spam callers all the time, mostly talking about my car insurance that's expired, which is not true. But I work as an on-call capacity where people call me when there's emergencies. So I answer my phone constantly and listen to horrible recordings. When you move on to campus, you're going to have to start taking those phone calls. I know that's unfortunately not what you want to be doing, but that's how we're going to communicate with you in the very beginning of campus to relay information to you from our healthcare team. Please do not call the health center for your results. They will be calling you. When you're calling them, it prevents them being able to call others and give test results. Only call the health center if you are feeling ill, need to make an appointment, or need some medical advice. Once both students in an apartment receive a negative test, then you're no longer required to quarantine. And then if a student tests positive, there will be additional instructions of what to do next. And the healthcare professional who calls you will be giving you those instructions. Please note that if a positive test result is returned for either student in an apartment, both students will be required to move to a new location while we wait for further instructions. You will be in that new location until a period of time has passed where you are no longer contagious and are okay to move back into the rest of our healthy community. Please note that someone who is moving to quarantine or isolation, they've done nothing wrong. And as a community, we thank them for taking those steps to make sure that the rest of us are safe. It is probably likely that at some point you may, or your apartment mate, will be exposed to COVID. And we may ask you to move into quarantine or isolate. So please be prepared with that at a moment's notice. Here are some helpful hints for you to be prepared. So during move-in week, we will be supplying food for you. You will be receiving 2 food deliveries every day to your apartment door. The first will be between 12 and 1, and the second between 5 and 6 p.m. On Friday, your last delivery for the day at 5 p.m. will contain enough food to get you through the entire weekend. If you have dietary restrictions, please contact this contact person, 12 Briscoe. She works at our Parkhurst Dining Center, and you must contact them by noon on 1/18/21 so they can prepare your meals. When you contact them, include your name, contact information, what apartment you live in, and your food restrictions. There'll be vegan options, vegetarian options, and any special dietary requests that you have. While you are in quarantine for the first week of move-in, those meals will be provided to you by the college at no expense. Please note that every apartment has a stove and an oven, and you are strongly encouraged to pack cooking supplies and cooking utensils and to keep your kitchen stocked throughout the semester with groceries, just in case you're required to quarantine and isolate at any time. Pack all of your medicines, prescriptions, medical supplies, and anything over the counter that will help alleviate pain, such as Tylenol or heat and cold compresses, should you develop symptoms while you're in quarantine or isolation. Please stay connected to any healthcare professionals, mental health and psychological support services that you may already have. While you are in quarantine for the first week, laundry is not available. Laundry facilities are closed until January 25th. So please arrive with enough clean clothes to adequately get you through a week of quarantine. Please bring toilet paper, cleaning supplies. We will provide you with disinfectant wipes for your apartment. If you run out, you can put in a work order to have them delivered to your apartment. You'll also be given a personal bottle of hand sanitizer, and there'll be masks available for you at your front desk. You are required to clean your common areas daily. So the bathroom, the kitchen, and the living room areas must be wiped down and cleaned on a regular basis. And you and your apartment mate will need to discuss the schedule for that. While you're in quarantine for that first week, there will be some amazing programs happening by our fabulous RA team, as well as our student affairs programmers. So please tune in and join us for any programs that you may be interested in. Make sure that you're able to communicate with campus officials, so have your email and your cell phone available. Please bring plastic trash bags. They are great for portable purposes, so for putting your clothes into. If you have to move quickly, you can throw things in a trash bag. So bring some with you. They're easy to carry things. It's a quick suitcase in case you need it. For that first week, while you're in quarantine, on Friday the 22nd, you can place your trash in a bag outside of your apartment before 10 a.m. and someone will come and collect it for you from our building services staff. Make sure you bring your own gloves, additional face coverings, and your own hand sanitizer as well. And smoking is prohibited in the residence halls, and you will not be allowed to leave your apartment while you're in quarantine to smoke. We have some restrictions that are important to note. Most importantly, do not leave your apartment. Do not leave your apartment for anything. Laundry facilities will be closed. Lounges will be locked. Don't go outside. Stay out of the lobby, the elevators. It is, again, important to reduce the transmission of COVID within our community. You can still connect with friends and family via computer and a phone virtually, but you must not break quarantine. When your quarantine is lifted, please feel free to leave your apartment. But until then, do not go anywhere. Do not go to public transportation. You cannot have visitors in your apartment. While you are in your apartment during the first week, please wear your face covering when you leave your bedroom. So if you go in to cook something in the kitchen and you and your apartment mate are there, please put on your mask. If you need to use the restroom before you leave your bedroom, please wear your mask. It is possible to transmit COVID even in your own apartment before both of you have tested negative. If you arrive and you have an emotional support animal that's been pre-approved and cleared, or you have a service animal that's been pre-approved or cleared, please let us know by emailing the Residence Life Office, and we'll help you take care of that animal and with more specific instructions. If there's an emergency and the building is evacuated, or an emergency responder or someone from campus safety gives you instructions, they will let you know what's happening and direct you to the nearest facilities. If you have to leave your apartment for any reason, but you have not received your negative test, you will need to wear a mask. While you are in quarantine, monitor your health. This is a list of the most recent COVID-19 symptoms. It is important to know that COVID may manifest itself in many different ways. You may have one symptom, you may have all of these symptoms, or you may have no symptoms. If you have any symptom whatsoever, please contact the health center once you've arrived. And as Mike pointed out, if you have any symptoms before you arrive, stay home. While you're in quarantine, it's important to make sure that you are keeping tabs on your own mental health. So it is not uncommon to have the following feelings. That's okay. We have support services for you. Please reach out if you need anything. When you are ending quarantine isolation, again, both apartment mates will receive a phone call that indicate that they have received a negative test. You'll get additional instructions from our care team or from Mike at Residence Life. And please always answer your phone if you have questions. Okay. So I wanted to give you a visual of where things are in relation to each other. So if you see this big red dot in the middle, that is Founders Green. Founders Green is where most of our first-year students will live. Leake Hall, which is included in Founders Green, is located all the way back here. There'll be approximately 75 first-year students living in Leake Hall. When you arrive to campus, this is the parking lot, and there is a gate. This gate will be open, and there will be someone there giving you instructions on where to go. You can drive your vehicle back to Founders Green, and there'll be places to unload. Once your car is unloaded, you must move it away from the building so that the next move-in time slot can arrive and unload their belongings. This is the gateway. This is where upperclassmen will live. There are approximately 30 upperclassmen that will live in the gateway. This is also where our testing center is. So once students in Founders Green who live in Leake Hall have moved their belongings into their apartment, they will then make their way over to the gateway. The gateway main entrance is how you'll enter the building, and the testing site is immediately when you walk through the lobby to your right. When you're driving to campus, again, this is Founders Green, and this is the gateway up here. This is the directional arrows of where you would like to drive. Most people coming from the south will drive up Mount Royal Avenue. And if you live in a gateway, you'll make a right onto this road, avoiding this section right here outside of Gateway. This is a high pedestrian area. For your safety and the safety of others, please avoid parking and driving through this area. If you are right here unloading, someone must be in the car at all times, or you will receive a ticket from Baltimore City. If you're traversing to Founders Green, you will turn onto McMecken Street and make a right into the Founders Green parking lot and drive back to Leake Hall. This is where you can make fun of me for my art skills. I drew this with my finger. I think it's wonderful. This is the traffic pattern for pedestrians. When you are coming by foot and you are walking into Founders Green, you will walk through Latrobe, make an immediate right, a left, and then another right. And this is a stairwell, and you will exit through that stairwell and then walk your way up through Leake Hall. All of this section down here in Founders Green is off limits. This is Glace Hall, and this is where the laundry machines are. We'll talk about that later. When you leave Leake Hall to do your laundry, you walk in through this stairwell, and you will not be able to pass down into the rest of this area. This is Spear Hall, and this is Carter Hall. So when you walk through Latrobe, you'll turn right at Carter, and then walk through Carter, and then make your way back towards Leake Hall. Once you've made it into your apartment, your RA will check up to see how you're doing, and they will check to make sure that you are indeed here and in the right location. When they contact you, you can text them, email them, or even send them a selfie in your new home. In addition, we have a room condition form. This room condition form will allow you to note any damages or poor quality in your apartment. This is what we will use if we, after move out, to see if there are any damages that you are responsible for. Please submit a work order for anything that has major damage that needs to be repaired. Work orders will be analyzed to see how emergent they are. If they are not an emergency, our facilities team will wait until after both apartment mates have tested negative before they enter your apartment. If it's something more serious, they will contact you directly to help with your maintenance issue. This information will be in your welcome packet when you arrive for you to review. Okay. We're going to talk about some signage. When you're on campus, you will find signs that are specific for your ability to be following directions and making sure that you're headed in the right direction while you're on campus. Our signs are orange and black, and they're all over campus. And you'll see them on doorways. You'll see them in stairwells. You'll even see them on the floor. These signs have been carefully placed to make sure that our pedestrian traffic is as safe as possible. You will find that a lot of the stairways are labeled as up-only stairways or down-only stairways. You'll also see that some doors are only designed to be exit doors or enter doors. There will be information posted in all the areas that will remind you to be as safe as you can. When you arrive to a building on campus, you will find signage that helps you get into a building. If you arrive into a specific room, a classroom or a lab or a lounge space, there will be a maximum capacity of what that room can hold at any given time. So for example, this room, S302, the max capacity is 8 people. You will see in the diagram where those 8 people can be located within that room and still maintain proper social distancing away from one another. In some of our rooms, you will find that the furniture has either been removed or some furniture will have specific labels that say what is and isn't safe. So a couch that could usually seat 3 people may say 1 person only. It is important to follow these signs to the letter. If you are in this room and you are the 8th person to enter, if someone else enters, you should ask them to leave. Here's an example of the first floor of Bunting. When you walk into Bunting, right across from Cohen Plaza, this is the entrance. This is a temperature screening area. And when you walk into the building, if you have not been temperature scanned for the day, you'll scan here. And these arrows will point you in the exit to get out. There's a stairwell here that is for going up and a stairwell over here that is for going down. These red X's are the elevators. One thing to note about this particular space on the first floor of Bunting, this is also where you will retrieve your mail. This area is the postal and print area. Residential students will receive their mail right through the front door and in the back right. I'll review more information about picking up your mail later in this presentation. Our next section is about important policies. Let's talk for a moment about our alcohol policy. MICA's campus prohibits alcohol for anyone under the age of 21 from possessing, serving, or consuming. Students who are 21 and living on campus may drink alcohol in the privacy of their own apartments. However, they may not buy, serve, or provide alcohol to students who are under the legal drinking age. Open containers are not permitted anywhere on campus in public areas. Multi-quart containers and kegs are not allowed in any campus-owned or controlled space. Students who are in the presence of alcohol under certain circumstances may also be determined to be in violation of the alcohol policy. Let me give you a brief scenario. If Carol Martinez Doan, Mike Patterson, and Scott Stone are hanging out in an apartment, and for this particular scenario, Mike is 21 and Carol and I are underage. If someone from our campus safety or residence life staff are alerted to that there's drinking in the apartment, and they find Carol, Mike, and Scott in this apartment, it may be deemed that even though Scott and Carol may not have been drinking, they are in the presence of alcohol and will be held responsible accordingly. Let's talk about drugs. Drugs are also not allowed on campus unless they have been prescribed to you. The use, possession, or sale with intent to sell of illicit or illegal drugs or narcotics is prohibited, not only at MICA, but at the federal, state, and local laws as well. Possession or use is grounds for severe sanctions, including expulsion, and may result in referral to local authorities. It's important to note that even the possession of drug paraphernalia, including hookahs and bongs, needles, not for prescribed use, and other such items, is also a violation of both state law and college policy. Marijuana, while decriminalized in the state of Maryland, is still prohibited on our campus, including cannabis oil, CBDs, oils, and other derivatives are prohibited for student use regardless of intended use or origin. Our smoking policy. Smoking is prohibited in any college-owned facility, including the residence halls. Smoking is only allowed outside 25 feet away from main entrance. Let's talk for a moment about our social agreement. By now, anyone who's planning to live on campus should have already read this document and signed it electronically. Here are a few of the highlights that are most important for living in the residence halls. I will not access campus facilities or other public areas on or off campus if I feel unwell. I will notify health services immediately if I test positive for COVID-19 or have any COVID-19 symptoms. I will wear an appropriate face covering or mask, which covers the nose and the mouth at all times while on campus, unless I'm inside my residence hall apartment. I will maintain an appropriate social distance of 6 feet from others in any location on campus. I will avoid gatherings of 10 or more people. I'll abide by all the posted signage that we just reviewed, especially indicating reduced occupancy for a given space. That would include elevators, lobbies, stairwells. I would adhere to the residential guest policies. Non-MICA community members, including family, friends, and significant others, will not be permitted in the residence halls after students move in. Students are permitted to host other MICA students in their apartment that reside in the same building. Students who live in Leake Hall can have other Leake Hall residents visit their apartment. However, students who live in Leake Hall cannot have students who live in Gateway visit them in their apartment, and vice versa. An apartment can accommodate a total of 3 people in the common area of an apartment. The common area is the living room, the kitchen, and the bathroom. Residents can accommodate a total of 2 people in an individual's bedroom. 2 people means you and 1 other person. All guests must be approved by apartment mates in advance. Masks should be worn at all times, and social distancing should be practiced when visitors are present in an apartment. Guests are a privilege, not a right. That privilege is granted to you by your apartment mate. If your apartment mate is uncomfortable with the guests that you intend to bring over, they can deny your request to have a guest in the apartment. Please note that at the end of the semester, you are required to bring all of your belongings home with you. Please pack accordingly. Please stay on campus as much as possible. Please limit your trips for grocery and gas and art, entertainment, medicine, anything else that you may find unnecessary. There may be common areas on campus that you would like to visit. However, they may be closed. Please respect those decisions. And consider creative ways to connect with others from a distance. Please use phone calls, virtual methods, and stay in touch with friends and family from a distance. Once again, I understand that I will need to vacate my apartment and take all of my belongings with me when the residence halls close. I understand I'll be responsible for cleaning and sanitizing my apartment on a daily basis. I understand that I need to follow all signage in the residence halls, including lounges and lobbies, and lounge spaces in residential studios, common areas, and other communal spaces will all be limited in function, if not closed outright. When laundry facilities are open, I understand it's my responsibility to abide by posted occupancy limits and physical distancing guidelines. Okay, let's talk about community living. First and foremost, we have professional staff that are here to help. Here's a list of all of their information. We welcome you to email us at any time. Our office hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. till 4:30 p.m. When you arrive at the front desk of any building, you will need to swipe in your MICA ID card. If you have not scanned for the day, please step to the designated area to have your temperature taken. You will receive a color-coded wristband for the day if your temperature is in the safe range. If not, you receive a card from a campus safety officer with other instructions. The Gateway front desk number is listed here, along with the Leake Hall front desk. There is a scan at almost every building on campus where there is frequent traffic. Also, at our front desk in the residence halls, there's a 24/7 lockout service should you not be able to enter your apartment. We also have trash bags and carts if you need to check one out. There's also the ability to call for additional help should you need something that is more serious. We will issue you keys when you move in. Those keys are meant for you and you alone. Once we give them to you, do not give them to someone else. If you lose a key, please contact us immediately and we will order a new one for you. There will be a charge. If you are locked out, once again, please call Campus Safety or visit the front desk 24/7. Trash and recycling rooms are located on each floor. All trash must be secured in a bag and put in the appropriate area. Bags are available at the front desk. Please make sure that you break down all boxes. The trash rooms are small and boxes that aren't broken down take up too much space. There will be specific trash bins for recycling or for regular garbage. Do not mix them together. When those items are not taken care of and they get mixed up, we have to throw everything away due to contamination. Please don't make a mess in those trash rooms. Our building services staff do the best they can to maintain all the garbage that's thrown away, but you can do your part by making sure bags are tied and sealed and not loosely thrown in the room. There are laundry facilities in every building. Gateway, located on the second floor. Leak Hall, located in Glace, and it's available 24/7. The easiest method to do your laundry is to add money to your Flex account and use your MICA ID card. Please don't overfill the machines, no dyes allowed, and please pick up your laundry when you are done. There is another option available to you if you do not want to use the on-campus laundry machines. We have partnered with an outside laundry service that will come and pick up your laundry and fold it and bring it back to you, usually within 2 days. That information is listed here. There is a MICA login to help you with this process. External laundry services will be paid for by the student. The password for the residential Wi-Fi is 1826-1826. Any Wi-Fi issues you have, please report them to help@mica.edu. Mail and packages. Mail will not be able to be picked up until January 25th. All mail will be collected at the Bunting Center. If you're expecting a package containing something that you need for move-in, like medication, you can email Postal and Print to see if they can help you with delivering your package. These are the addresses that you should use when you mail in. When you have packages sent to you, you'll use your name, the building's address, Baltimore, Maryland 21217, your email, and your cell phone number. Please visit MICA Postal and Print for very specific information about how to retrieve your packages. The pickup hours are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9:30 till 3, starting Monday, January 25th. There are carts available in the lobby if you have a lot of packages you're picking up to be able to traverse it back to the residence halls. Once again, please visit MICA Postal and Print for all their policies on how to manage your mail. This is the first floor of Bunting. And as said before, when you come in, this is the Postal and Print office, and this is where you will pick up your residential mail. Then you will exit the building through the exit over here. If you have facilities issues, please submit a work order. Work order can be found online. Please make sure that you use your name and your email address. That way, when there are confirmations and updates, they can contact you directly about what that information is. Make sure you're very specific with the details of what your facility issue is and where it is located. Especially, your apartment, and your precise room number, A, B, C, or D. Shuttle services are available beginning the week of 1/25 with circulator shuttles and limited evening shuttles. Shuttles will be able to take you to grocery stores and other destination points. Please visit Micah's Transportation webpage for more information. Student Health Services is available. If you have any questions about what our Student Counseling Center is able to do, please contact them, make an appointment, or email counseling@mica.edu. The Student Health Center is located on our campus. It is a hybrid model of in-person and telehealth services. Please call them and they will give you the next instructions on where to go and how to access same-day care. Let's talk briefly about fire safety. When you hear the alarm in your building, you are to evacuate immediately to your evacuation meeting location. For the gateway, your evacuation location is behind 1515 Mount Royal on Mouster Street. For Leak Hall, your evacuation location is across the parking lot in the grass. If you get a text or an email saying to report to your safe meeting location inside your building, if you live in the gateway, your safe meeting location is inside the first floor of B box. That would be for something like a tornado or a hurricane. For Leak Hall, your safe meeting location is on the first and second floor hallway in the residential areas. If you receive a text or an email telling you to shelter in place, that means stay where you are, lock your door, and hide. If you live in Leak Hall, your evacuation safe meeting location, exit the building, walk around the edge of the parking lot and to the grassy area directly across the front door. If it's an emergency, fire trucks will be pulling up through Founders Green lot and driving directly towards the building. Don't get in their way. If you live in the gateway, take any stairway down, exit the building along the sidewalk and around to this area behind the campus safety office. Again, fire trucks will be arriving here. Emergency vehicles will be arriving here. Stay out of the way. Regardless of what directional arrows may say, during an emergency evacuation, all stairwells lead down and to the exit. Please note that on the backside of Mount Royal Avenue on Mouster Avenue is where you will access campus safety. And on the front of Mount Royal Avenue, this is where the college bookstore is. Okay, when you received this invitation to join us for Home Sweet Home, there was also a link to a video that went through additional policies. I'm going to speed through that information now. Please go back and review that video if you have questions. Ready? Here we go. No string lights, no halogen bulbs. No fires of any kind. Quiet hours exist. Be mindful to your neighbors. Please respect our given times. Carts are available in the residence halls. They are only to be used to get to postal and print to get your packages or to and from your vehicle. Please, while you're in your apartment, make art. Your home and soap board located in your apartment, both in your bedroom and your common area, is specifically there for you to draw, paint, pin, tack, and do whatever you like. If you have questions, please contact us at any time. Here's our contact information. That concludes the presentation. Now it is time for our question and answer period. I'm going to turn this section over to our moderator, Carol Martinez-Doan. Carol, if you can please ask us our first question.
Okay, so first question, there were a lot of questions around the spare room in each of the residence halls. So a couple of questions. Will we be allowed access to the spare rooms in our dorms as extra space? Can we use them as studio?
That is a great question. The answer is no. The reason being is because unlike studios, our apartments have kitchen and food facilities. And as you know, sometimes art is messy, sometimes art is toxic, and we want to keep those things separate. So unfortunately, we cannot open those additional apartment doors. Those rooms will remain locked.
Is there any way that I can change my move-in date that I selected?
Yes, you can. Please email residencelife@mica.edu, and they will help you through that process.
If you want to do a quick refresher on how will we get food when we are quarantined, and should we stock up on some food during quarantine?
That's a great question. You should arrive to campus with food. You will not be able to go shopping. You will not be able to receive packages. So please come with your groceries. In addition, we will be serving meals while you're in quarantine twice a day. You'll get a delivery between 12 and 1 and another delivery between 5 and 6 p.m. When that delivery service will continue until Friday, and the Friday 5 p.m. delivery will include food to get you through the weekend. Generally speaking, please make sure that you have ample food in your apartment at all times. There's a very real possibility you may have to move at a moment's notice to quarantine or isolation housing, and I want to make sure that you have provisions to hold you over until meals can be delivered to your apartment.
I've already been living in the Gateway during the last semester and the winter break. Do I still need to take the test and quarantine?
That's a wonderful question. The answer is yes. Our testing begins, and what that does is allows us to have base data to make sure that everyone is safe at the same time. So please get tested. Our testing is open Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of move-in week. Please come down and go ahead and get tested and then quarantine waiting for your results.
So there was a related question. I know regarding COVID-19 testing, I know we are supposed to get tested immediately after moving in, but according to the testing schedule on the recap site, there is a separate schedule sorted according to our last names. Can you talk about that?
Sure. Actually, I'll turn this over to Dr. Kenny about this question.
That's a good question. And we understand that not everyone can move in on the time that you're supposed to be tested according to your last name. So we have made arrangements so that when you do move in, please come to the testing area that day. And as Scott said earlier, if you come in at the end of the day at 4 o'clock, go there first before you move in. So yeah, we do realize that not every student can come in on the day that their testing is supposed to be planned for that week. So we've made accommodations for that.
Thank you, Dr. Kenny.
Yep.
Once we start testing during the normal school year, you will need to arrive at your given time slot based on your last name. For move-in week, just go over there and get tested as soon as you arrive to campus after you've moved in.
Are my 2 guests allowed to come up to my room and help me unpack?
Yes, but they have 1 hour to do so, and then they have to leave so you can start your quarantine. You'll have time while you're in quarantine to unpack. This is a great activity to do while you're waiting to be released from quarantine. Yes, they can come to your apartment. Yes, they can help you unpack, but they need to leave after that hour is expired.
Related to that, are parents allowed to stay in the apartment to put stuff away while the student takes their test? Or does your move-in start after the test is done?
Yes, parents can stay in the apartment while you're going to get your test, but again, they have 1 hour before they have to leave.
What is the mailing address for students living in Glace Hall?
Please go to the Postal and Print website. They have very specific way you should write your address. I'll share the screen again, just so you see it. But Postal and Print has very precise ways that they want your information to go in your packages so that all of your mail arrives and they can sort it quickly and easily. Hold on 1 second. I'll share that screen. I'll leave it up for a little while. Carol, you can go with the next question.
Can you talk a little bit more about the desk situation? Do most students find that they need a desk? Do the rooms come with a desk or any form of furniture? And are there places you would recommend getting one from?
That's a great question. It's one that we hear very often. In Founders Green, Lee Hall specifically, there are no desks in that building. And what we've found is students have very specific needs, and some students do not need a desk at all. And artists need space. So we would rather allow students to get the type of desk they need, a drafting table or something specific for your major, rather than us prescribe a desk for you. In the gateway, the apartments do have a small desk directly under their loft. In this day and age, the best thing to do is find a desk that suits your needs online and have it delivered. It's important to note that space in our apartments is limited. So I recommend that you get here, get unpacked, take measurements, even go to your first week of classes to see what's in your syllabi before you actually purchase a desk. What you don't want is to have a large piece of furniture that you then have to take with you when you leave at the end of the year. So just make sure you need that desk before you actually order it.
Are LED lights allowed?
String lights of any kind are not allowed. LED lights are allowed. So if you have LED string lights, the answer is no.
Do we have to quarantine if we have already been living in Baltimore and just recently tested negative for COVID? January.
Yeah. All students showing up to campus during the move-in week and living on campus after are required to test when you arrive.
Is the testing always going to be a nasal swab?
At this moment in time, yes. As you know, medical improvements happen, and if at some point we shift to a different method, you'll be notified, but this is the fastest, safest way that we have at this time.
Some more questions on testing. What if the timing for our COVID test coincides with the class that I'm having? So this is for regular testing, not move-in day.
We're asking students to attend class and try to come to your testing schedule as close to time as you can. So if you're scheduled for Wednesdays at 2 and you're in class, try to come before 2, after 2. If you're in the afternoon on a certain day, try to come the morning before or the following afternoon. Please go to class though, that's your priority. But testing is also a very next close priority. So testing is important.
Regardless of your class schedule, you must test every day. You must test at least once a week, regardless. Not every day, I apologize. You must test at least once a week, regardless of your class schedule.
And this wasn't asked yet, but everyone should be getting a swag bag when they get on campus that has the thermometer, mask, and a personal hand sanitizer.
Another testing question, what should I bring with me to the COVID testing?
Yourself. You're going to get information and email about how to register. There's going to be an app that you use to register. You download the app, and you'll use a barcode we'll use for your samples. Just bring yourself and your device for the app, and wear a mask.
I haven't received a roommate as far as I know. Does that mean that I will be randomly paired before moving in, or does that mean it will just be me? It will just be me in the apartment.
We will notify you if you're getting an apartment mate, unless it's an emergency move, which will be something that, again, will notify you, but it'll be at a much quicker timeline. We try to give notice before anyone moves into your apartment. At this moment, if you have not received an apartment mate, there's only a week left before we move in. I doubt you have an apartment mate, but you may receive one at any time during the semester.
Is a daily temperature testing / color bracelets necessary during the beginning of the quarantine period or any other time when we haven't left the apartment?
Yes. That bracelet lets us know that you have scanned your temperature recently, and every day there's a different color bracelet. So we know that if you are seen outside of your apartment, that you have been properly scanned. Once you've moved into your apartment after you've been scanned, in theory, you will not need to be scanned again until you leave your apartment, which will be after you've received your negative test results and are free to leave.
Just to clarify though, if after move-in week, they don't have to go get a bracelet every day, for example. If they don't have to leave their apartment, they don't have to go get temperature testing.
Correct. You only need to get your temperature taken if you leave your apartment or try to enter a building other than the one that you're in.
Although, the one thing everyone should be doing every day, regardless of whether they're leaving their apartment in the semester, is doing the daily self check-in on symptoms through the Campus Clear app. So if you haven't downloaded that already, please do. It's been linked in several of the recap messages and others. We can get that sent around again if we need to. But every day it asks you to just report your symptoms and how you're feeling, and gives you either a smiley face or a frowny face as to whether or not you're clear to move around. And you should be doing that every day, regardless of whether you actually intend on leaving your apartment.
So question around isolation housing. If I have to go to isolation housing, would I have to move into a new apartment when I am done with quarantine?
That's a good question. So if I'm understanding how this is being worded, let's say you get tested when you first arrive to campus and your test results come back that you have tested positive. If that is the case, then you will need to move to isolation housing, and your apartment mate, if they are there, will have to move to quarantine housing. And again, the reason is to separate you from the rest of the community to avoid transmitting COVID to anyone else.
If I can though, because I think the question is actually asking about the back end. So then once they're clear from quarantine housing and isolation housing, they go back to their original assigned apartment. You're not reshuffling them once they come out of quarantine.
That is
correct?
correct. That is correct. You will go back to your permanent assignments once you're done and released from quarantine or isolation housing by our health professionals.
What are the rules about going home for the weekend?
Yes, but you have to bring everyone else with you. I'm just joking. We're not going to keep you from going anywhere, frankly. We just ask that you be mindful and careful while you travel. Please limit your trips to other places and limit exposure. This is a great big experiment, and your actions could have a direct impact on whether or not Micah can continue for the rest of the spring semester. I know it's a lot to say, but if we have an outbreak on campus, we're going to have some pretty serious repercussions that we need to all be in quarantine for a certain amount of time. So please just be careful when you're traveling. Please be careful when you're visiting places off campus. And what we're requesting is only do those things if it's necessary. You want to add anything to that question, Mike? Okay.
So a couple of, I'm gonna bundle a couple of move-in questions. So after the move-in, are we allowed to stay off campus with our family, or do we need to immediately quarantine after that hour? We'll start there.
So this is complicated because we have no idea if your family is also quarantined. The only way that we know that you are safe and not exposed is if you quarantine on campus after you've been tested. So that is the expectation, is once you've gotten tested, you quarantine in your apartment.
What if I have to work during the week of the 18th through the 25th for move-in?
Unfortunately, that would violate our quarantine protocols. Please make arrangements with your employer in advance.
My move-in starts at 4 on Thursday. Will I have to get tested and moved? Will I have time to get tested and moved in? Do my parents need to be gone by 5? And if I'm not there until 4:30, will I have enough time to move in?
So for this particular instance, if you're arriving to campus anytime after 4 p.m., your first destination should be the testing center. That should be your priority. The testing center will close at 4:45. We want to make sure that you actually get your test before you start moving in. Yes, you will have time to move in the rest of your belongings. And once you arrive, your parents have 1 hour. Well, let me rephrase that. If your move-in time slot is at 4 p.m., they need to be as moved in as far along as you possibly can by that 1 hour limit, which is 5 p.m. If you go over that by a little bit, that's okay. You can stay a little longer, but please do your best to adhere to that 1 hour time slot. We have this carefully orchestrated so that there is a limited amount of people in the building at a time. That way there's very few people using elevators and stairwells, which will limit possible exposure. That is why the 1 hour time slot is so important.
So 2 related questions around move-in time and testing. If my move-in is at 2 p.m., should we get tested before we bring stuff up to our room? Another person asked, if my move-in is at 3, can I get tested after my hour, 4 p.m.?
The answer is yes to both of those. Well, if your move-in time slot is at 2, go ahead and move your stuff into your apartment and then head to the testing center. If your move-in time slot is at 3, please be over at the testing center by 4 p.m. Regardless of where you are with your move, be at the testing center by 4 p.m. so that you don't miss out on your test for that day. Anything you want to add to that, Dr. Kenny? Okay.
Perfect, thank you.
If I get sick, will someone check on me?
Of course. It'll be a tele check. We will have someone probably call you every day just to see how you're doing. Your RAs will check in on you. Our professional staff will check in on you. we know how scary it can be to be in isolation and quarantine, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that you are comfortable and okay. So yes, someone will check in on you.
What happens if someone tests for a false positive?
Dr. Kinney, I'll let you take this question.
If someone tests positive, they will need to be isolated. We have no way of knowing it's a false positive until the next time they're tested. So they have to be immediately isolated.
And they won't be tested again until they've been quarantined, isolated.
Right.
So you'll be, if you return a positive test, you're immediately put into quarantine or isolation housing if you've been exposed, and you cannot leave to go get tested. So you're pretty much there until at least 10 days or longer, depending on what our healthcare provider recommends.
And the healthcare providers will monitor your symptoms. If they feel that it might be a false positive, they would then decide what happens next.
It's also worth noting that, and I'm sure folks understand this, there's not a test out there that is 100% and avoids any false positives or false negatives for that matter. The test we have chosen is specifically because it is the gold standard. It is the one that our epidemiologists specifically recommended and has the smallest chance of returning those type of results. So we can't guard against that perfectly, but we're quite confident that our results are going to be solid.
Can I cook while I'm in quarantine or no?
Absolutely. Just cook enough for everybody. Yes, you can cook while you're in quarantine. I encourage it. Please bring groceries, bring your cooking utensils. Cooking is a great pastime while you're kind of in your apartment waiting for test results. And of course, you like to cook the food that you want to eat, so that's great too.
Do the rooms come with shower curtains?
Yes, they do. And then once you've arrived, if you don't like our dull, bland shower curtains, please measure the shower curtain and then order one, and you can put up your own shower curtain.
Scott, is there a limit to how many cars can be bringing things into the residence halls at a time? I ask this because my family may be taking 2 cars separately while moving me in.
There is no limit. Just make sure that you are moving your car out of the way once you're done unloading so that the next caravan can come in and move in the next student.
Can family deliver things to students?
Of course, getting things from home is always encouraged. Just remember that you will not be able to receive packages until the 25th. So bring everything that you need with you for your quarantine. Don't expect to get a delivery until after you've been released from quarantine. And then Postal and Print has on their website the days that they are open, and you will get an email that tells you when a package has arrived for you, and then you can make arrangements to figure out how to get over to Postal and Print on the days that they're open to get your packages.
Scott, just in case this question means something slightly different, can family deliver things to students? Meaning, can family actually show up and bring things to their students?
The answer is no. No one is allowed into the residence halls after move-in week, except for students that live in the residence halls. That also means that parents can't come and drop things off at the front desk. Parents can't meet you in the parking lot. If you want to meet someone, you have to meet them outside of our buildings on the public street after quarantine is over.
So if we are asked to move to a different, if we're asked to move to a different housing situation, maybe we got a test positive or roommates, what can we bring with us to quarantine housing?
That's a great question. And I have a web page that talks about regular semester quarantine housing information. It's very similar to move-in week, but there are added support structures in place because we expect the quarantine isolation time to be a little bit longer than the move-in week. When you move in, you need to bring your towels, your toiletries, your bed sheets, your pillows. You're basically packing like you're going on a mini camping trip to a new location, like you're going to a hotel room, but the hotel at MICA, which is our coordinated isolation housing, there is no housekeeping. It doesn't come with pillows. It doesn't come with bed sheets. So take all those things with you. So please review this website that has more specific details about what to bring with you when you arrive and the additional support services that are in place.
So I may have issues with my cell services. Is there a way to receive my results aside from a phone call?
Dr. Kinney, you want to answer that one?
Positive results will always be communicated by phone. And in the first week of quarantine, so will negative results. During the rest of the semester, you'll have to get into the app to get your negative results, because at that point, the student health center staff is not going to be able to call all negative people because they're working on those who are positive. And so you'll have to get into the app to get into the secure portal, the patient portal, to get your test results.
So does the testing center close at 4 p.m.? Because my move-in time is at 4 p.m.
Testing center closes at 4:45 p.m. So for that instance, please arrive to the testing center first before you actually move in. You can actually arrive at the testing center at 3:30. That way that you still have time to finish up your move between 4 and 5.
So another related question to testing. If I'm moving in on Thursday, am I getting tested that day or on Monday due to the testing days being Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday?
For move-in week, the testing schedule is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Beginning on January 25th, the testing schedule begins on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and will continue Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for the rest of the semester. So only during the move-in week do we have a Thursday testing availability.
And I think you're also asking, Carol, yes, they have to get tested that Thursday that they move in.
So if I get sick, can I go home to recover? Similarly related question, if I test positive, are my parents allowed to pick me up while I'm in isolation and go home for 2 weeks?
You would need to follow the instructions of the healthcare providers, and they will then determine each case and case by case how sick that person is, and they can determine whether they can allow to leave campus or not. So we can't make a general statement about that right now. Particularly if there's an isolation case, remember if you're positive, you're sick, which means you can carry the virus. And so I can't imagine any situation in which you'd be able to go home unless it was medically necessary for you to go home.
We don't want you to pass COVID to your loved ones.
Right.
That's why we have the isolation protocols in place.
Right.
So 2 related questions. Do the rooms come with any kitchen utensils? And if so, which ones? And are we allowed to bring microwaves?
The kitchen utensils are not provided in the apartment. Bring your own kitchen utensils. Please check the Residence Life web pages to see what is stocked in the apartment. Some apartments have microwaves and some do not. So please check our Residence Life web pages. If you go to the Gateway building, it'll tell you what's in those apartments. If you go to Leak Hall, it'll tell you what is in those apartments.
So last question in the queue. If there's any other questions, please send them along. If we test positive, how long do we have to go into isolation housing?
How long do you have to get ready to go to isolation housing? So the medical team recommend that people that have tested positive or have been exposed should be moving within 3 to 6 hours. Our goal is to get you moved into that new location as quickly as possible. However, there are people, support staff, who are facilitating that move. It may take longer than 3 to 6 hours. It may take 1 hour, it may take 30 minutes. It all depends on what our availability is to help you with that process. You should be preparing as soon as they call you to get ready to move.
And Scott, how long is isolation housing?
That is what our medical providers will advise us on. They will determine when you are free to leave. I cannot give a specific time frame.
Yeah, it's generally 10 days for people who are positive, but it also depends on your symptoms and your course of treatment.
One more question. I have a question about food services. After the initial food drop-offs during quarantine, are places like Cafe Doris and Meyerhoff going to be open?
Great question. Let me share my screen for a moment and I will show you a few places. Okay, so this is Founders Green and the gateway is located up here in the corner. The Meyerhoff House will be our primary place for students to get meals. And the Meyerhoff House is right over here. This is the Meyerhoff House. At the beginning of the semester, it will open the week of January 25th, and it is available for grab and go options, meaning you go in, there are items there available for you, you take them, and then you leave. Once we get further along into the semester, there may be options to actually eat at the Meyerhoff House. Cafe Doris at the start of the semester will be closed and will probably remain closed until further notice. I believe On the Hill is open for carryout, and there are probably other places nearby that are also open for carryout during the semester. Baltimore is a really big place, and there are some amazing carryout places in walking distance. However, I have no idea what the status is for all of these locations to see what is available and what their protocol is to pick up or deliver or grab food.
If we have healthcare with someone other than Micah, will that affect anything?
I'm not sure I understand the question, Dr.
I'm not sure I understand the question. If you have health insurance that's not Micah's health insurance, and is still accepted by Chase Brexton, our healthcare services, you should be fine. So if you have any health insurance that you're concerned about, please contact Chase, please contact the health center to make sure they do take that insurance. But we take most insurances. But it should not affect any quarantine or testing, because the testing is being covered by Micah. If you're asking about testing pieces, don't worry about that. Other healthcare issues are going to be covered by your insurance. Is that you going to say that, Mike? Were you going to?
Can students go off campus to get tested?
We're asking students to take testing at Micah because we're trying to make sure that we have a safe community, and it's easier to you increase exposure risk by going off campus, and we're actually testing people for free. If you go off campus, you may risk the chance of it being applied to your insurance or having to pay for it.
It's also worth noting that part of how we're managing this semester is we will be reviewing not only the local public health situation, but the public health situation on our campus on a weekly basis with the epidemiologists that have been helping us prepare for this semester. One of the most important factors in our decisions week by week on what's open and what's closed is going to be our internal testing metrics. We have very real reason to believe, this is happening on college campuses all over the place, that our testing metrics in all likelihood will be much stronger, meaning better, for example, even the state of Maryland, which relative to many of the states in the country is actually doing fairly well right now. So getting, not only is everything Judy said is accurate, but I would also say that there is incredible value to staying in Micah's testing program. We're going to require you to do it anyway, but because that not only will help ensure your personal safety, but the numbers in mass, as we're conducting hundreds of tests a week, will help us understand exactly what our campus is dealing with and how prepared we are to do things such as open up in-person seating for dining in Meyerhoff.
So I misunderstood the question. And so students who are living off campus, can they get tested at Micah?
Yes.
Yes, any Micah community member can be tested.
Question about food. We all like to eat. After our initial quarantine, if we order food from somewhere off campus, would the delivery person be allowed in the building, or should we meet them outside?
You'll need to meet them outside. There are no outside non-Micah community visitors allowed in any building. Campus safety will not collect the food for you and hold it. You must be outside ready to collect it or waiting patiently in the lobby for it to arrive. That includes grocery deliveries. That includes anything that you've ordered to the building to where you live. You'll need to be there to get it yourself. Rudy, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I just would like to add that we'll be closely monitoring to make sure that the outside vendors do comply, that they don't step inside, risking a possibility of spreading, COVID or catching it themselves.
Thank you, Rudy.
Those are all the questions we have.
That's amazing. All right. Well done, everyone. Okay, give yourself a round of applause. Thank you for participating this evening. If you have additional questions, I know you will, please check the website first. We have all of our information usually is found on the web, but I know you'll think of something that I haven't yet. So please email residencelife@mica.edu. I put that into the chat earlier today. And please make sure that if you have questions, you can always go back and rewatch this video. I'll be posting it online sometime soon. Please make sure your apartment mates who didn't make it here today, they also go and check out this video. I want to make sure that everyone understands what's expected of them. If you have additional questions, I look forward to talking with you. And we'll see you in less than a week. Have a good night. Safe travels. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
You're welcome,
Welcome.
everyone.
Can't wait to see you all.
All right, stay safe.